Hey everyone, it's Dylan from the Black Forest Wood Company. We're back again for another week here in the shop. This week we're going to be lighting this bench on fire, as you guys are watching right now. We bought a propane torch and we're doing a technique called Sugi band. So it's a Japanese woodworking technique where you actually char the entire surface of the wood. Kind of the goal is to turn it into charcoal. It makes it a whole lot more durable, but in this case what the client wanted was actually the textured look that it gives. So like in all of the little sections where there's knots and the grain moves, you can actually feel it right now with your hands. It's got a really cool tactile effect. So we're gonna show you our whole process of picking the lumber, gluing it together, and then lighting this bench on fire and turning it into this. So I hope you guys enjoy, and let us know what you think below in the comments. So before we actually go and start a project like this, the first thing we have to do is select the pieces of wood that are gonna work best. Since our client wants this double waterfall effect on the bench, we need to find pieces of wood that are going to line up really similarly in grain, since we don't actually have pieces of wood long enough to do it all in one piece. Once we've got everything picked and marked out, then we can head to our panel saw, clamp the pieces down, and just rip a straight edge on them. From there, we head to our jointer. We do a face joint and an edge joint. This is going to give us two perfect 90-degree faces to act as a reference for when we go to put this through the planer. If you skip the face jointing and just go straight to the planer, it's not going to be a perfect piece. So then at that point, once everything's face jointed, it goes through the planer and we machine it all to a uniform, even thickness. From there, we take our Domino 500 and we're just putting in a few dominoes about every foot or so. Gives a little bit of strength, but the biggest part actually here is it helps with alignment and makes the whole gluing process a lot easier. Another important part of this process is the type of glue that we're using. So specifically here, we're using Titebond 3 because it's a non-thermoplastic glue, meaning that it won't resoften or liquefy when exposed to heat, which is obviously very important for us in this case because we're going to be burning this piece. Titebond 3 is also water resistant, so it's going to be the best glue for any outdoor projects. The boys are just getting everything clamped up here, and we'll leave this bench in for 24 hours before it comes out.
I've been there before.
Once everything's cured up, we take it out of the clamps and then we can actually final size these pieces down to what we need them to be. And we can also start cutting our 45-degree angles on them. Since this is a waterfall bench, we do 2 45 cuts, one on the leg, one on the top. And we're also, you'll see in a minute, we're gonna add dominoes just to fasten everything together. This process is a little nerve-wracking because you've really only got one shot at it to make sure everything's perfect. So we're kind of holding our breath here.
Didn't go through the top. Yes, love when that happens. So we had to use some pretty intricate math here to get a nice 45-degree angle because this bench is just, it's so long. So we went, we had to do pi squared divided by 7.2. And then we needed to get the square root of y to the power of 1. So yeah, found the square root of that, and then you gotta multiply that by Jesus fish x, and that's to the power of asterisk 1. So you take that, you multiply that by 3y, and that gives you our the fancy x coordinates for our angles.
So hopefully you guys were able to understand that. Spencer is a very advanced mathematician. It takes a lot of skill to do what he just showed you guys there. So once you've done your complicated calculations, you've got that 45 figured out. What we're doing here is we're actually putting on a support beam. Since this has such a long span, 10 feet, we just want to put another beam in there so it's got no flex. It would probably be fine, but it also kind of helps the aesthetic of the piece, just gives it a little bit of a thicker look. So that sort of cross beam is held in with dowels, and then the 45 is secured with dominoes. No real reason, really. Basically just because we were able to use our CNC to put the dowels in instead of having to do them by hand with the domino. The moment of truth. All right, so for this bench that we're working on, this is the stain sample that our client approved. So it's a finish called Sugi ban. It's a Japanese woodworking technique where they basically turn the wood into charcoal with fire, obviously. So Spencer's got the big toy right now. Oh yeah, and we're gonna make this look black.
So I thought this was pretty interesting, so I did some research, and what it does is it burns the wood, and that makes it close the pores of the wood. So it actually becomes like UV resistant, water resistant, mold resistant, and fire resistant. Funny enough, but yeah, so it's pretty cool.
Okay, so we've got the bench kind of burnt. We probably are still gonna have to burn it more, but now I'm gonna go at it with the wire wheel, take off a lot of that excess just charcoal that's on here, get all that removed, then we'll take it back outside and burn it again. Probably could have done it all in one shot, but this way we just make sure we don't go too far and heat it up too much at once. So I'm just using the restorer with the wire wheel in there, and we'll see how it goes. A lot of this here, I actually can't get in with the restorer, so you gotta go by hand, just taking the same kind of wire brushes, and I'm gonna go in there and manually brush everything here. Yeah, another thing with this, don't wear white, definitely wanna wear black, because it's gonna make you very, very dirty. Okay, so this is just a tack cloth, and I'm gonna use it to try and remove as much of the charcoal dust as we can off here, just so it's clean before we stain it. Very black. Okay, so now we're using the General Finishes water-based dye stains. Black, obviously. We could just go ahead right to the Osmo right now, but with the amount of burning we did, it's going to give more of a dark brown, whereas our client wants like a pitch black, but they still want the texture, so that's why we did the burning instead of just doing this. This is a water-based stain, and we're going to be putting an oil-based top coat over it, which usually isn't recommended, but you can get away with it as long as you leave enough time for this to dry. So we'll put on our stain, we'll leave it to dry for, you know, at least a day, potentially a couple, probably not any longer though, and then we can go ahead and put Osmo over top without any issues. So we're just using a white Scotch-Brite to put all this on. I'll kind of do one half, Sauger will hit the other half, and then we'll go around to the other side, flip it over, and do the same thing. It's basically the same as Osmo. Maybe you can apply it a little more liberally. You don't need to go quite as thin, but you just buff it on and then buff it off.
Yeah.
So I can sing Avril Lavigne. I kissed a girl.
That's not Avril Lavigne.
Is it not?
What song is it?
I Kissed a Girl?
No, that's Katy Perry.
That's Katy Perry? You're lying. I thought it was Avril Lavigne my whole life. You guys are lying.
No, you're not a true Katy Perry fan,
I kissed
obviously.
a girl. No, that's Avril Lavigne song. You guys are lying to me. I thought it was Avril Lavigne song my whole life. You guys are living in alternate reality. The world I'm in, Avril Lavigne sang that song.
You joined our reality now.
Yeah, simulation port.
So we'll go over this bench in a little more detail here, kind of show you guys what it's going to look like. What this bench is going to be used for, it's actually for a condo. It's going in their lobby. So just kind of in the entrance, there'll be this bench for people to sit on, to wait. Or if any delivery drivers have stuff they need to drop off, they'll set it on this bench. So it's going to be used in a public space. People are going to get to see it quite a bit. And they wanted to keep it pretty simple and clean, so that's why we did this Shou Sugi band finish, got it right that time. And we also kind of added this 6-inch beam of ash underneath. That's just to give it some strength. Like, it would probably be strong enough, but there is a chance if there was enough weight in the middle here that you might get some flex. So with that thing in there, I'm pretty sure you could stand like our whole shop on top of here and it would be just fine. My favorite part is definitely the textured feel that you get from this. And another thing you guys might notice is there was a bit of separation where the glue joint is when we did this, but that only goes down like a couple millimeters. And we tested out like a little test block where we burnt it the same as this, and then we tried to break the glue joint, and it actually ended up breaking the wood instead of the joint. So even though it kind of shows that line of separation there, it just burnt away those top few millimeters, so it's not really anything to worry about. Another thing that I need to mention, you guys, is we hit 100,000 subscribers. So we've been doing YouTube now for about 2 years, and we've been posting every single week. I think we've only ever missed like 1 or 2 weeks. And it has been a lot of fun for us, and we can't believe that we're actually at 100,000 now. We have so much fun making these videos for you guys, and especially in the recent months, the amount of support that you guys have shown us has just been absolutely incredible. Of course, there's a lot of longtime fans too. We read every single comment that we get, and we recognize a lot of you guys from every week, and some of you even from all the way in the beginning. So thank you guys so much. It just truly means the world to us. We do have something really exciting planned for 100K. I'll give you guys a hint. It has to do with an award, and we're going to be making something with this award. That's all I'm going to say. But when we hit 100K and get that award, we will be making this thing. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed that little bench build. We're probably gonna go deliver it in a couple weeks here, so we might just kind of scatter that in with one of our other videos. Let us know what you think of this burning technique. We've already got another client who wants it on his coffee table base, so I'm thinking it's gonna be quite popular. One thing I wanna correct myself on too, I was saying Sugi ban, and it's actually Sugi ban. I've just always kind of said it that way, and I knew it was the wrong way, but it's just hard for me to correct myself. So it's Sugi ban. We'll put the spelling on the screen here so it makes sense to you guys. One other exciting thing we have coming up is we're gonna have another start to finish video on a cabinet, probably in about a month. We're about, I don't know, a quarter of the way through the job right now. It's curly maple front, solid maple carcass, and it's the biggest cabinet we've ever built. So you guys can stay tuned for that. And if you can, leave a like, subscribe, that really helps us out, and we'll see you guys next week.
What the hell, Charlie? Go give me that back. Give me that. Come here. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Charlie. What do you know? Here we go. Thank you.